So I made a little hole for a parasitic wasp to put a little grasshopper inside that it's laid its eggs in, and seems to be digging the hole even deeper. I think it's going to use the hole that I made. I think it's about to come back and bury the grasshopper, and if it does, then that's pretty big news, because it means that